Sivakumarji, thank you very much for joining us again in one of our workshops. This chapter in Life Divine, some of us have been reading it on a Saturday. It's quite a long chapter, perhaps not one of the most difficult ones, but equally not easy to understand. But I felt that it is the essence of integrative when it perhaps explains a lot about evolution in some ways and where we are in our stage of sadhana. And taking advantage of Sivakumarji here, while he's in England, to take us through this particular chapter and show us what it actually means. And then also bearing in mind while we do these workshops, if there's anything from it that we can learn to change ourselves, then please bear that in mind. So over to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. At the outset, I thank Sanjuji for inviting me to this workshop, and I thank the Mother and Sri Aurobindo for having given me this opportunity to be with you all. We are now dealing with chapter 18 of the Life Divine Book 2. The title of the chapter is The Evolutionary Process, Ascent and Integration. That's the title. But here he talks about the evolutionary process. But the evolution is a very common word which we have been hearing right from our school days. What we have learned is only the science, the physical science, how it deals with the question of evolution. That's what we know. But Sri Aurobindo talks about the evolution. Here he's talking about the evolution of consciousness. So that difference one should be able to have it in mind. Evolution, Sri Aurobindo refers to the evolution means not only the evolution of physical outer forms, but the evolution of consciousness, which is happening right from the inception of this earth. So this is what he's talking about. And in what way it is relevant to us? First of all, one should know in what way it is relevant to us. Because as a man, we're always interested in finding out in what way it's relevant to me. What is in for me? That's what everybody wants to know. Knowingly or unknowingly, we are in this. We are also participants in this evolutionary process. We are all involved. We are all involved in this process. And Sri Aurobindo says that man is not the ultimate. The man with his mental capacity, with all his intelligence, he is not the final product of evolution. There is much more to come. We can, as though we can say we are intellectual beings, we are limited. Our understanding is limited. As a mental being, our understanding is only partial. We don't have the holistic view of things. Even the brightest of the minds in the human mind, its understanding can only be partial. It can't have a holistic view of things. That's why we always learn by trial and error. Whatever we find, we think it's a final, then something else comes and modifies the final conclusion. So if that means what? There is a scope for us to grow in the evolutionary ladder. In terms of our mental growth, we can reach a higher statuses and we can surpass all our limits. So we are all involved in this process. That's why this evolution, the topic of evolution is very interesting. It is concerning us. Now let's go through various this evolution process. Sri Aurobindo, he says it has got three features. Sri Aurobindo's point of view of evolution is entirely different from what the scientists say. It has got three features. One is the matter, the substance. Matter is becoming more and more subtle, because since there is a growth of consciousness, the matter is becoming more and more subtle to keep pace with the growth of consciousness. Number one. Number two, there is an upward evolutionary movement of consciousness. It is developing grades and grades of consciousness from lower grade to higher grade. This is the second feature. Third feature is that this is very important. This is something which Aurobindo lays lot of emphasis is that the moment it goes up, it doesn't stay there. The moment we grow in our consciousness, it doesn't stay there. It takes into account whatever the lower grades. It doesn't leave the lower grades as they are. It also brings them up. It comes back and integrates the lower grades. So there is a movement backward. There is also a more vertical movement. There is a movement backward to take up what has been left behind and assimilate it. So these three features are very important. This is what happening in the evolutionary process. One is the matter is getting more and more subtilized. Second is there is a upward growth of consciousness. Third is that there is a backward movement to integrate what has been left behind and lift them up. This is what happening right from the uh, matter to the man. And two things are happening in the ascent of consciousness. One is there is modification of the form. See, matter becomes plant becomes animal. There is a modification of form. And second is there is a change. One is change, second is modification of form. These two things are accompanying evolution at all stages. We'll go in detail in the course of our talk. And that's why Sri Aurobindo says there is always a double modification in this evolutionary process. Number one, that the substance which is undergoing modification, where the change is taking place. Secondly, there is also modification in the power of consciousness that is affecting the change. For instance, there is only a matter. Before everything comes, there is only a matter. Then comes the plant. That means what? There is a life force which is acting on the matter. From there, it produces some form of life, from unicellular organisms to plants. Okay, so what happens? There is a modification of the matter into life. Number two, the force which makes the modification in the substance also undergoes a change. So that's why there is a double modification. Here, how all these changes are taking place. Uh, First, which movement takes place? Somewhere it has to begin, right? For the evolutionary process to happen, somewhere there has to be a beginning. Nothing, see, some religion says everything came ready-made. All forms came ready-made. One day, God made everything. But Sri Aurobindo says that it's not so. Origin is only divine. Origin is only divine. From there, everything descended first. So, the descent from the divine is the first moment. This descent from the divine, what is terming as involutionary movement. Evolution means from down upwards. Involution means from upwards to down. That is called involutionary movements. The divine power first comes down, descends into the matter. Into the matter, first it brings down all its powers into the matter. Moment it comes to the matter, all the it when it comes down, it comes down as one is matter, second as life, third as mind. Okay, but everything is involved, hidden in the matter. First, everything comes down into the matter and hidden inside. Once hidden inside, it slowly begins to evolve. First matter, then life force is already come down from up, from above. It's inside. It is coming out slowly. Life force comes out. The mind is also mind power also came from above, which is also hidden in the life. Then slowly mind evolves. That's how we human beings have come. In terms of consciousness. Now, the mind is not the final thing. In the mind, there is hidden what is called a superior aspect, superior principle that's called supermind, which is going to evolve. The moment supermind comes out, then all our mental limitations will go. We will see only oneness. All these divisions and conflicts will go. We will the primary feature of supermind is that it will see only the oneness, whereas our mind divides everything and sees only the division. That's why we face all the problem. So what Sri Aurobindo says is that there is a downward movement from there, and then whatever powers are there involved in the substance, from there it rises and the meets the power which is coming from above. So there is a meeting of descending power and the ascending power. This has to happen. This is happening always. It is happening. Because of that only the evolution is progressing. And there is also, Sri Aurobindo says, there is also a power which is already hidden in all the matters. That is what Sri Aurobindo calls it as a secret divine consciousness. It is a power which is hidden in matter, hidden in plant, hidden in animal, hidden in human beings. It is hidden, it's a hidden power which is slowly emerging. It is slowly emerging in the process of evolution. So, but if this ordinary human being has to transform to a higher power, supramental power, there has to be a meeting of the higher power which is coming from above and the power which is already hidden inside, involved inside, which is ascending. Both these powers have to meet. Only then what happens? There is going to be a transformation. Ultimately, why Sri Aurobindo is talking about all these things? Because he says that because of the descent of the highest level of consciousness, that is a supramental consciousness, because of that power, everything is going to be transformed in this world. In this world, because this world is a manifestation of the divine. Sri Aurobindo, right, he says that we think it's a material world. We think it's an accident created by Big Bang. All these worlds have come. It's not so. It is a willed manifestation of the divine. Divine has created this world for some specific purpose because it wants to create a divine life on this earth. It wants to create more people with the divine qualities. For that, our mere intellectual power, mental power is not enough. There has to be a superior power, supramental power. For that to emerge, for that to come down and transform the human beings here, matter here, everything here, there has to be a meeting of these two powers. There has to be a collective aspiration from our side. There has to be a downward power, supramental power. Both have to meet. Only then this transformation can take place. So Sri Aurobindo says that meeting of descending power and the emerging power is essential for the transformation to happen. This is one principle. I'm just stating the principles. Why this transformation is very important? Because for why Sri Aurobindo has done the yoga for almost 30 years to bring down the supramental power, right from his 1920. He has been doing yoga right from 1910, right from his Alipur jail, and he 1926. We know that there was a descent of overmind, overmind consciousness. From 1926 to 1950, 24 years, there was a gap. Then we know that there was a descent of supramental light in 29th February 1956. Why the supramental light has to come down? Why Sri Aurobindo and the mother, their yoga was entirely concerned with the bringing down the supramental power to earth. Why should they do it? Because they are not interested in an individual's moksha or individual's superior yogic status. They want to transform the entire earth by its supramental power. Only then, whatever the ills which we are facing, the human society can go. For that only they have labored. And because of the labor, collective work, yoga sadhana, this supramental power came down to earth in 1956. And mother says the supramental consciousness has become effective from 1/1/1967, I believe. So the supramental consciousness is active upon earth and it is affecting all the world events. And mother has categorically told that there will not be any third world war. In fact, there was a war looming large because of the Cuban crisis in 1960, and people were very much suspicious. They asked the mother, what's going to happen? Mother categorically told, don't worry, there will not be any third world war. Well, because they have done the spade work for that. So, since supramental consciousness is active, there may be wars and disturbances here and there, but there will not be any full-scale world war, which the mother has given the assurance. Because why they have done it? Because there has to be a meeting of the supramental power is already involved in the matter. It has to come down from above also. Only because of the meeting only the earth can undergo the transformation. Because only for the earth transformation, collective transformation of the earth, both mother and Sri Aurobindo had done the yoga. So what's more important is that only the original power, supramental power, can transform the matter. For that, there has to be a meeting of both from above and from below. Secondly, Sri Aurobindo says, whatever you find in this earth, there is a secret divine consciousness, hidden divine consciousness in everything. What Sri Aurobindo calls it as occult gnosis. Gnosis means Gnosis. It's a Latin word, Greek word, I'm sorry, meaning divine knowledge. What Sri Aurobindo refers by that word is a supramental knowledge. It is there in each and everything. Only thing, it requires some external inducement to come out and to become active in the earth atmosphere. So he says this occult gnosis is there in whatever you find in the earth. It is a secret indwelling light and force of supermind. For that to become active, it has to come out. Only then the total transformation can take place. It should be aided by a corresponding descent of supramental from power from above. That's why this descent of supramental light, which happened on 29th February 1956, is very important. It's a very capital moment in the yoga. And what about the physical science? Physical science also talks about evolution, and it has talk about development of forms. Physical science, their approach, and the approach of Sri Aurobindo in integral yoga. We should see this in the physical study of physical science. The aspect of consciousness have not been taken into account. They have not talked about the consciousness. They talked about the evolution of forms. That's why they speak about the gulf between grades of consciousness. gaps in evolution, what they call missing links. No, still they talk about missing links for which the science is not able to find the answer. Why there should be a missing link? Sri Aurobindo explains why there should, why, in fact, there is no missing link. We have seen that there is a gradation of consciousness from matter up to the man so far. There is a consciousness. Sri Aurobindo says there is no gap. That means, in terms of consciousness, there is no missing link. It is continuous. But in terms of physical forms, there are gaps. Because they study only the external phenomenon of forms. But if one studies the development of consciousness, there is always a continuity. Sri Aurobindo says the so-called missing links, they are in fact the stepping stones from one grade to another grade. They are deliberately not preserved by the nature. Sri Aurobindo says these stepping stones from one grade of say one form, say plant form, or animals, if we take several grades, and then man, there are several grades, and in between these grades there are stepping stones. Somewhere we find missing links, we are not able to connect the links. These stepping stones, Sri Aurobindo says, are deliberately not preserved because in order to prevent fallback, supposing if all the stepping stones are there, well laid out, then what happened? There are chances that the evolution, instead of going upwards, may slide back. In order to prevent that, it's like just like burning the bridges. In order to ensure that there is no sliding back of evolution, the nature has seen to it that there are gaps, which we call it missing links. That's what Sri Aurobindo's version. So it's a very significant point. They are discarded by nature to prevent a fallback from what has evolved. That's why we find the missing link. But in terms of consciousness, there is no gap. There is no missing link. So this is one thing we should understand. And how the principles are organized in matter, life, and mind. If you see, Sri Aurobindo says, if you take a metal, the principle which is organized in metal is principle of matter. If you take a plant, the principle which is organized in the plant is subconscious principle of life. It is not a fully conscious form, subconscious principle of life. In the animal, which principle is organized is the vital mind and mind sense. Because animal, there is a rudimentary element of mind is there in animal, right? It knows, it can sense things. That's why it's called mind sense. It has a mind sense. It may not be able to, it may not have the functioning of the mind in terms of intellect, but it has a mind sense. Because and the animal thinks of the next step. It thinks of the next step. There is a mind sense. It captures the situation and it understands the situation. So that the sense mind works in the animal. So that is the principle at work in the animal. And if you take man, the principle which has become intellect. And this intellect, Sri Aurobindo says, it is a derivative product of something which is higher than the mind, that is supermind. It is a derivative product of something higher than the mind, that is supermind. But it is always, supermind knows everything, but the intellect is always in search of knowledge. That is the only difference. So, since the intellect is a product of supramental supermind, it can always expand its realms, go for higher knowledge. It can expand itself. one thing one should understand that in the evolution of consciousness, the lower grades are not abolished. In fact, they are taken up. There are two things. There is one more thing Sri Aurobindo says. The rudiments of higher are always present in the lower grades, he says. The rudiments of higher is always present in the lower grades, and when the evolution moves up, the lower grades are also being taken care of. The rudiments of life is present in the matter. The rudiments of mind is present in the life, in the animal. The rudiments of supermind is present in man. So the rudiments of the higher principle is always present in the lower principle. But even if you rise to the top also, the lower principle is also taken along with it. There is no discarding of the lower grades. Otherwise, there will not be an integral transformation, right? Matter will remain as it is. That's why Sri Aurobindo says the moment the man is able to supramentalize his entire being, the body which is a matter, which will be supramentalized, it will be made of light. His mind will function as per the supermind. His life will be taken up, will not be subject to decay and death. It will attain immortality. Why? Because when you rise higher, the lower principle are also taken up into the evolution. They are not discarded. Then how the consciousness is organized in matter, plant and animal, and how the new values are being introduced, Sri Aurobindo makes a very interesting point. He says is that if we take matter, for example, any material movement, it may be a cyclone, or it may be an earthquake, or any material movement. It simply we find only the movement of energy. That's all. The matter which is involved in the movement, it is not aware that something inside is making it to act. It is totally unconscious of what is inside. So the matter is not aware that there is something inside which is making it to act. So the activity is purely mechanical, he says. The energy which is acting on the surface, it is not aware of the intelligence within, because we have already seen that there is always there is a secret intelligence in all forms. In all forms, there is a secret intelligence is there. The secret consciousness that is only making the outward matter or whatever it is to act. But that the matter is not aware of it. Matter is totally ignorant. And if we take the plant, there also the consciousness is asleep, but still, he says, the consciousness in the plant is on the point of waking, but not fully awake, because the plant is not fully conscious. It responds to stimuli, but it's not fully conscious. That's why Sri Aurobindo says it begins to dream. The plant is the consciousness, he says, it begins to dream, he says. But every contact the plant receives, it converts it into a value of life. For every contact, if we touch, the plant responds. It responds to the external stimuli. That means what? It converts everything in terms of value of life. Whereas the matter doesn't know. Matter doesn't react to anything. Whereas the plants react to its circumstances. That means what? Every impact that the plant receives is turned into a value of life. Third, if you come to the animal, everything it converts into a sense values. Because when it sees something, it becomes apprehensive. When it is hungry, it knows that it has to go in search of a prey. So everything it converts into a sense value, because the vital mind in the animal, it's always functional. But the animal prepares for something higher, that is a human intelligence. Here we find at every stage there is a value addition. Matter, there is no change. In the plant, we find some sort of value addition. And the animal, if you see, there is some more sort of value addition. But if you come to the man, till up till the man comes into the picture, what is dominating the scene is that the nature. Everything is captive, it is under the captive influence of nature. They can't resist the nature. Only the nature does the work till man comes into the picture. The moment the man comes into the picture, he takes the lead. He is no more subject to the workings of the nature. He takes the lead. That makes a man a superior being on earth, because the nature becomes self-aware in the man. So far, the nature is not self-aware. The animal is not the animal is not self-aware of itself. It's not self-aware. Whereas the man is self-aware of himself. That means what? The nature working in the man becomes aware of itself. That is a very important turning point in the evolutionary ladder. And he is becoming aware of himself more and more of himself. Not only is he external self, he is becoming aware of his inner being. And before man, there is always used to be a reflex action. The animals react reflex. But the man, he chooses to react. He doesn't react in a reflex way. There is an understanding intelligence in man which gives him guidance as to how he has to act. Moreover, when in the case of man, he gives an intelligent value to the sense of body, right? We give value to the body. We know how to take care of our body. That means what? We are giving an intelligent value to the sense of the body, to the sense of life. Sri Aurobindo makes a very important statement here. What was unskilled artisan of the mind in the animal becomes in man a skilled craftsman. What was an unskilled artisan of the mind? In animal, the mind is an unskilled artisan. Becomes in man a skilled craftsman. The mind becomes a skilled craftsman in man. So that's the difference between the animal and the man, how the mind works. And in this evolution, two things always go hand in hand, which we should never forget. One is ascent of consciousness. We are seeing that there is an ascent of consciousness, but there is also an integration. Integration means Sri Aurobindo explains integration is a return from the higher station to the lower in order to lift it up. It's not only we are reaching the higher level of consciousness, but we return to the lower in order to lift it up. That is the integration. So ascent is there, then integration. Which these two things go hand in hand in this evolution. And with man, he begins to look upward. He begins to look beyond himself, which the animal doesn't do, which the plant doesn't do. The man begins to look upward. Not only that, he begins to look inward also. What is inside him? What is inside me? I begin to introspect. Going deep within, I'm able to connect with my soul. All these things are happening in man. By that, he is disengaging from the grip of nature. So, till the animal stage, The beings are in the grip of nature. The moment the man tries to look up and look within, he disengages from the grip of nature. He becomes a master of nature. And Sri Aurobindo says, Aurobindo quotes here the Sankhya philosophy, Purusha and Prakriti. Prakriti is a nature, external nature. Purusha is a soul element. And till man comes to the picture, it is only the Purusha, Prakriti, nature only dominates the scene. The moment man comes into the picture, the Purusha takes the lead. That's the difference. And if you take man, if you take the human mind, Sri Aurobindo defines the different gradations of human mind. First, most of us, we live in our physical mind. This is the outermost layer of the mind. The physical mind is always posed on physical existence, our physical needs, our sleep, our food, whatever our physical requirements. It's only concerned with that. That's our physical mind. A little inside, we have got the vital mind. Vital mind, something to do with our life force, prana. Um, but the difference between the vital mind and the physical mind is that it has got some, it's not very clear, but some obscure perception about the soul inside. That's the difference. The vital mind, it is obscurely open to the psychic and capable of evolving a life soul. He says it can go to the next stage. And what we call this life mind or vital mind, it is supported by something deep inside that is called a subliminal being. It is always supported by that. And physical mind, life mind, still deeper, there is an inner life mind. This inner life mind is something deeper. This inner life mind, our physical mind, takes all the inputs through the five senses, right? Whereas our inner life mind, it doesn't have to depend on the assistance of the external senses. It takes the lead or inputs directly from the cosmos. Because universal mind, it takes direct knowledge. We also have this functioning, but what happens since we live in our external things, since our reasoning activity is very strong, we don't take into account of our occasional intuitions, telepathy, hints, all these supranormal phenomenon. We don't take notice of them, but it is happening to us. But if you're sensitive to you'll be able to discern the functioning of this inner life mind, because it is directly in contact with the cosmos. And next stage is mind of pure thought and intelligence. Next grade. This mind of pure thought and intelligence, it is purely concerned with subjective things. What is within me? It's not concerned with what is outside me. All abstract ideas, philosophies, higher level of the intellect. This is called, Sri Aurobindo calls it pure thought and intelligence. And something deep within all these beyond physical mind, vital mind, inner vital mind, and then there is something more than pure thought mind. There is something deeper within us that is called subliminal mind. It is like an ocean deep within that subliminal mind. Subliminal minds receives the knowledge directly from the universe. It knows, it has got a deeper percepting capacity. It doesn't depend on our senses. Our subliminal mind knows information about our past births. It knows what's going to happen in our future. Not only that, it is connected with all the minds in the universe. So it has got a wider range. Whereas our physical mind has got a very narrow range. These are all regarding the human mind is concerned. But whether with all this, whether the man will be able to transform himself, move to a higher ladder in his evolutionary, move to a higher stage in the evolutionary ladder. Sri Aurobindo says it's not possible. With all this, you cannot. It's not possible. Still, something more is required. We need a spiritual principle. That's what Sri Aurobindo says. We need a spiritual principle. Only with that only we can transform our entire being. How the spiritual principle comes into operation? Sri Aurobindo says there is a double opening. One is we have to open within ourselves. There is a psychic being, there is a soul within. Instead of living in outward circumstances, we have to go deep within by way of contemplation, meditation. Go deep within yourselves so that this is one movement. Another thing, opening above. Opening above. By opening above, the reality, divine reality is above us also, within us also. By this double opening, our mind can reach a higher state. That is how the spiritual principle can come into the operation. And when the moment the spiritual principle comes into the operation, ordinary man will become a spiritual man. Ultimate aim of the evolution is that each man should become a spiritual man. It is a new step in the evolution. Here, to become a spiritual man, Sri Aurobindo says, one requirement is that we have to go beyond our surface nature and to go inward, go deep into our psychic being. Second, we have to go outward. As of now, we are all imprisoned in the within the precincts of our ego consciousness. For us, each one of us, I means my ego consciousness. We are all imprisoned. You have to break open that wall and be one with the consciousness of everybody. That is an outward opening. One is going deep within. Second is breaking open the wall created by our ego consciousness and be one with everybody. And third is that Sri Aurobindo says we have to open up ourselves to the divine above. So by way of this triple process, it is possible that the ordinary man can transform himself to a spiritual man. That is the aim of the evolution. But Sri Aurobindo says this process is difficult for ordinary human beings because we are all pulled by our circumstances. Since our evolution is coming from below, we are still pulled by the inconscience of the matter, in ignorance, everything. It's quite possible that in our journey we fall back. But Sri Aurobindo says, don't worry about that. He says, we have not come from the inconscience. Our source is a divine, right? So our source is a divine. The nature, she says, the nature has got a secret memory of your highest self. It has got a secret memory. So even if you fall back, the secret memory in nature helps you to come up, to get up and move forward. The nature pulls you up by the force of its secret memory, Sri Aurobindo says. And one more thing Sri Aurobindo says, all these things as regards an individual is concerned, but that's not enough. The entire humanity has to participate in this process. That's why this yoga is called collective yoga. We do everything collectively. We individually progress. Along with that, we take others also to the path of progress. Only by a collective progress, this total transformation can come. So an individual single effort is hardly enough. The individual has to participate, the collective community also has to participate. And if the aspiration is sincere, if you make an upward movement, Naturally, in response to our upward movement, there is a descent which pulls you. That's why Sri Aurobindo says in this integral yoga, if you take one step, 2 steps, you are being pulled by the force above. You are not alone in this journey. The divine force above, it always helps you to come forward. And for that, 2 things are required. One is unity and identity with the outer world. Identity means what? Identity means not by way of any outward forms or organization. Identity by the soul. What is inside me is also the same in others. By identity with the soul, what happens? That then only the real unity comes. Only then this collective progress can be assured. And the nature has to be lifted to the level of the soul, and the soul has to impose its law and truth and principles on nature. That is prakriti. The nature has to be infused by the soul power. As of now, we think nature is different. It's not so. The nature has to be transformed. Sri Aurobindo has finally stated that there are ways. Oh, either you can do this process by identifying the divine within you. The divine is already within you. Either you can identify yourself with the divine within you. Some can silence their mind and open their mind to the higher consciousness above. Some may adopt that method, and some can open up their selves and unite with the souls of others. So, in whatever way it is convenient to you, you can make the start. Finally, as a takeaway, what we should do is that we have to move back from our surface entanglements, surface preoccupations, surface tie-ups. We have to start living within again and again in all the workshops. This is a final conclusion we are arriving. We have to move back from surface entanglements. We live on our surface. We think that is a final, but it's a total ignorance. The moment you start to live within, only then you know the value of life. We have to move back from surface entanglements, surface preoccupations, surface tie-ups. And it is only when we step back that either we are pulled within or pushed out. Pulled within means influenced by our psychic being soul. Pushed out means what? We become one with the soul element of others. Pushed up means what? We are opening ourselves to the divine force above. This is the course of evolution of consciousness. So this is a final conclusion, Sri Aurobindo says. Of course, it's a very long chapter. One should go because of the paucity of time. I have to rush through it. I'm very sorry about it. I can't do justice for this beautiful chapter. Please spend some time. Go, if you want to enjoy Sri Aurobindo's writing, read the original writing. Spend some time. Read one paragraph per day. That is enough. Slowly, if you go, you will really enjoy it. He takes you by hand. Anyway, thank you very much. If at all any discussions have to take place, it's open to.
Thank you very much, Sukumarji. Any questions?
A lot of questions came along. I've forgotten my first question that I had because it's so interesting. It's quite intense. But in that movement inwards, is one to get to the psyche, getting through to the subliminal mind, which you said is one in tune with the cosmos and all that. And is that an evolutionary process where, in connecting with the subliminal mind, when you're in getting that experience of what the subliminal mind is supposed to do, is that when you start feeling the oneness with other people? So, because theoretically, yes, one knows that it is that oneself, that is the Purushottam, that is in all. But then the struggle and conflict always becomes because the tendency to see the outer, and you can't see that oneself as hard as one tries. So is it the subliminal mind, which is also an evolutionary process?
Naturally. See, as long as you live in our outer mind, we think this body, this name, and my position, whatever I call it mine, it is all matters to me, nothing else. Or at the most, my family, my children, and we identify with our name, with some groups. That's all matters to us. But that's not really what we think we are. That's only surface part. When we the why you are rightly saying that subliminal. If you go to the there is subliminal is always there. If you go to the at the subliminal level or subliminal being, it is connected with all the subliminal beings of all others. My subliminal being is like an ocean. We are all like the waves. Individual human beings are like a waves. Each wave is different, but ocean is same, no, right? We dip into the ocean, it's same thing. There is no difference. Subliminal being is like dipping into the ocean. The moment you come to the ocean, these waves we forget, right? So that is the only way to connect with others. Your mind becomes attuned with other mind. You become more and more, your consciousness becomes universalized. It's no more being individual. It's no more being egocentric. It's more and more universalized. For that, Sri Aurobindo says you have to silence your mind. Try to contemplate. Try to go deep within. Concentrate, he says. Concentrate. And the only way, only the one step Sri Aurobindo has repeatedly stated is that concentrate in the heart center, thinking of the mother. Simultaneously, silence your mind. Disengage from the process of thinking. Don't struggle with that. Just observe your thoughts. Your mind slowly, as the ripples in the water recede, slowly your mind will become calm. More and more you'll become concentrated in the heart. Then you try to go deep within. But how am I to know all these things? Whether I am living in my subliminal mind, how am I to ensure this? Who will certify that? We have to rely on the mother's grace only. We don't know all these things, and we can't take credit. Also, one should not be take. Oh, I have reached this. I have done this. Nobody can take credit in that. Only we have to be very humble. With all humility, we have to observe this process. Otherwise, your ego will, again, there also your ego will say, no, I am a big yogi. I am able to live in my subliminal self. I am able to connect with everybody. I know what is running in your mind. All this thing will run. So, as you rightly said, connecting with your subliminal being will help us to make a connection with others. It is also evolutionary process. This facility is given to only man. An animal cannot connect with an animal cannot reflect upon itself, right? We have seen the animal is a product. It's totally under the grip of nature. It can't reflect upon itself. Whereas a man can reflect upon himself. Only by reflecting upon yourself, we can go deep within, connect with your subliminal being. So that is a facility given to man.
So in that process, then, because you mentioned about, I don't know if you use the word divinizing nature, Prakriti. So in that process, are you saying then that nature is doing its own thing anyway, and then through that oneness, you are automatically then divinizing nature? Divinizing, because you mentioned that nature will do its own thing, but you have to divinize it. I can't remember now what it was, but something you said about divinizing the nature or divinizing the nature element in you.
Yeah. See, special feature about the man is that he can influence, he can exert his influence on nature. He need not be a prisoner of nature. He can, nature means what? My nature, my external nature. External nature is a product of my heredity.
That's nature versus prakriti.
Nature. My personal nature means what? My whatever outward, whatever the nature outside is my nature, right? I am a product of the external nature. Each human being has his own nature. He is driven by his nature. The moment of nature, it may be a moment of desire, moment of hunger. Oh, so many things are contributing our nature, our external nature. This external nature, we can change our external nature. Sri Aurobindo says, as an initial step, more and more, if you try to act from within, you will be able to exercise some sort of control over your nature. You cannot do it, you cannot completely transform your nature once. It's very difficult. You cannot see the first step is that you have to the psychic transformation. All your mind, life, and bodily activities should happen fully under the guidance of your psychic being. That is the first step, Sri Aurobindo says. Even to reach that also, it is very difficult. Right? We are driven by our mind, my own assumptions. Whatever I read, I hear, I am driven by that. My vital, my desires, right? I have ambition, this, that, I'm driven by that. My bodily needs. So that is my nature, right? In order to bring them under the influence of my psychic being, which is inside me, which always will guide me on the right way, it will never guide me in a wrong way. It takes a lot of effort, right? But in order to reach that, if you try to reflect whatever movements you do, whenever you speak, whenever you act, instead of doing it in a reactive way, impulsive way, if you do it in a deliberate way, you will be able to exercise some sort of control over your nature. Slowly, by that moment, you will be able to transform your nature. If you're a person who are anger issues, you'll be able to have better control over your anger. If you have the habit of nature going into depression, you can control your depression. And if you got fear, you can get rid of your fear. Forget about yoga and all that. Your day-to-day life, you can lead a better life. Because you are able to exercise better control your external nature. That is your prakriti. If you are able to bring the entire nature under the control of your soul element, divine element within you, that is the ultimate step. That is a realization, siddhi. It will take maybe several births, a long time. But Sri Aurobindo says, if you want to completely transform your nature by supramental transformation, it will take several births. It won't happen immediately. But the process, whatever process you do begin in this life, it will never go waste. Once a sadhak of 80 years old has written to Sri Aurobindo, I'm 80 years old, now only I've come to know about all these things. Whether I'm going to live only for a few more years, is it of any use for me to start now? He says, no, please start right now. Do it now. It will never go waste. It will contain this effort, whatever we are putting in this present life. It will be carried on in the next life. So nothing goes waste.
So divinized Prakriti and Purusha, is that Purushottam? So what is
No. Purushottama is the ultimate divine, which is beyond all these things. See, divine, there is only one divine.
At the supramental level.
No, believe. See, these words, let us not worry about too many words. The divine is there, right? Divine, you know the word divine. The divine is present in three stages. One is that the divine is within you, within every one of us. It's called immanent divine, the divine which is dwelling within us. The same divine is present at the universal level. That's called cosmic divine, entire universe. The same divine is present beyond the individual, beyond the world. It's called transcendent divine. That is called Purushottama, ultimate divine, beyond everything. Purushottama or Sachidananda, this thing. This is a principle which is also the principle of cross, Christian cross, no? Trinity, the cross. That's the principle behind it. Cross means upward, means the transcendent. The side denotes the universal. The downward element denotes the individual. The divine has got three statuses. It is also beyond everything. It is also present in everything. It is also present within everything. So Purushottama is different. Purushottama is also divine, which is transcendent, beyond everything. Purusha is an individual. Purusha is the individual soul within you.
Can you explain the connection between the missing link you said, the physical and the consciousness? You just explain that.
See, in the popular science, we agree that the man has evolved from monkey. And what is present in between the monkey and the man? They're unable. They say that they like that. There are several missing links. We are not able to connect the forms or the outward forms in the evolutionary ladder, evolutionary gradation. We are unable to connect in terms of outward forms. They call it missing links. There are where they're unable to find out why there are in the evolutionary process. What is the connecting link between one form to another? They are unable to connect based on the outward form or a physical structure or morphology or whatever you call it. But if you that is as regard the physical structure. But in terms of consciousness, the consciousness, there is no missing link. There is no missing link. The the consciousness which is present in matter, in the stone, that has only evolved in the plant, that has only evolved in the animal, that has only evolved in man. So there is always a continuity, there is no missing link. Sri Aurobindo says, why in physical forms we are unable to find the missing, the stepping stones in between the different gradations of forms, because the nature has deliberately made that arrangement in order to ensure that there is no fallback in your in your evolutionary process. You don't fall back between the higher level to the lower level, in order to ensure that the nature has made this arrangement. But in terms of consciousness, there is no missing link. There is no missing link. There is only one consciousness. That is a divine consciousness which is present everywhere. But only thing, it is involved in the matter, it is slowly evolving itself. There is no missing link. So missing link in terms of physical forms, yes, it is there. Missing links in terms of consciousness, it is not there.
I just have one question.
Yeah, go on.
So where is the point where the ascending and the descending? Is it here? Because you know there's triangles, right? There's a whole circle all around going up and down, right? So when you become aware, where is that point where, because they meet at some point, they meet below us, above us, or in here?
There is no, you see, there is no physical.
Not physical.
Yeah.
Not physical. I'm talking about, so we are all palpable with the forces moving, right? And the more you become aware of things, the more you become aware of certain things, right? And we're always told to focus up here and then also in here, right? So as we focus in these two centers, there is a difference, you know. But what I'm saying is, when we palpate, the force comes down, and then there is a force which goes up. Where is that meeting point? Is it in the center of us, and where is that center?
Sri Aurobindo has stated that you can make this triple movement. Triple movement we have seen, right? One is within us, as you are telling, within us. Number one, around us, I'll be able to connect with you. That is around me, right? Then above me, over my head, also I can, I can raise in my consciousness. You can make all these movements, and in response to that, there is always an answer from above. In all ways that the higher force will be able to respond to your movement. There is no space. It's not that I should only concentrate above the head. Only then I'll be able to move with the descending.
My question wasn't that. My question was, so generally there is a force that is from below and there is a force that goes above. We are not controlling that. We become aware of that. Yeah, that's raising your awareness, raising your consciousness. So as we go within more and more, I was just wondering, since you had studied this more, like, is there a point where the two forces meet? Is there something that we can become aware of? That's the only thing. It wasn't like,
The force is always there above you. The descending force, it is always there above. It is not that it is not there. You are elsewhere. It is there, and you are pulling down. It is not there. It is always above you.
yeah, it's like
By your aspiration,
yes,
you will be able to. You'll be your whatever the force which is already there in you, it tries to climb up and makes a connection with that force. That's all. But this upper and lower, we are making figurative. We are only this using these words figuratively. It doesn't happen like that, right?
okay, yeah.
It doesn't happen above our head, or this thing doesn't happen. These physical dimensions, we are simply using these words for better understanding. But these words carry no meaning at all. These, right? The force is already always there. There is also force within you. It is also always there. But only thing, the question of your being aware of it. The moment you become aware of it, and with all the aspiration, if you go more and more, if you aspire, naturally these forces will come to converge in you. It'll converge in you. You are the right. You are it in your being.
I totally understand that because I have experienced these things.
Yeah.
I was just wondering if there was a point
A
where,
point means where do you exactly where do you exactly mean? What do you exactly mean? Point means what? In your body, or
yeah, can we become aware of that in
Ah.
our body? So I'm becoming aware, not everyone else, but if like obviously as you go more and deep within, you become aware of things. I'm sitting with you.
you can be aware of that. Sri Aurobindo says if you are able to concentrate above your head,
Yes.
you will find the descent of peace. That is how, see, it's simply you can be aware by only by some sort of an experience, right? Is it a spiritual experience? Only by your deep settled peace will settle in. If you're concentrating above our head, there'll be a descent of peace. The force will reveal to you in terms of descent of peace. You will find peace in your being.
I totally agree with you there.
And if you are able to concentrate here, you will find there also descent of peace along with happiness, ananda, because psychic being always denotes happiness. You will find always happiness, and all your depression will go. Depression, all your negative fear, everything goes when you concentrate here.
For me, the whole process of divinization has been beautifully explained by Sri Aurobindo in the book The Mother. The aspiration rises up,
And yeah,
grace comes
yeah.
down.
Only two things can go hand in hand.
Yeah.
Only things
And then
call from below,
yeah,
and
and then he's given conditions
yeah.
of that grace.
Yeah.
Now, if you read those conditions, it's a whole process of
Yes,
divinization.
that book itself is enough.
Yeah, exactly. So for me, that book is my Bible.
It is a Bible. It is a Upanishad.
It's my Bible.
Yeah.
And like, I never think, where the meeting point is of aspiration, and it's all mental
That's true.
formation, because your mind wants to know.
Yeah, yeah.
But I think it's irrelevant.
Yeah. As I already told, we will not be able to mentally figure out all these things. Only a guru like Sri Aurobindo and Mother will be able to tell you what is happening in you. But we will not be able to know what is happening in us. So we should not romanticize our experiences. People will fall into the trap. They'll romanticize. Oh, I'm seeing colors, I'm hearing voices, I'm able to see this, that. They'll be trapped in those experiences. We should simply humble. Humility is only best safeguard. Humility and sincerity. Because we can't take credit for anything. Even if that happens also, that is also happening by the divine grace. We can't take credit for that.
Is it what all, very often all of us sort of say we felt the presence. Is that one of the things as well?
Presence.
Yeah, that, we sort of sense or feel. So it's not like a specific thing, but, so often, especially on Darshan days, we come to
Naturally,
center,
yeah.
we just say, okay, you feel a presence.
Yeah,
so
we feel a
that is the
presence.
meeting of your aspiration and that. And
Naturally,
you are missing
yeah.
something, and the benefit, so-called, is that you're sensing it, you're feeling it, whatever.
If you are
Or the
able to,
tears
yeah.
which come out.
Sure. Yes. These are all the things that some other force is responding to your aspiration. If you are able to feel the presence, that means what? You are able to, yes, the force is responding your aspiration, you are able to feel the presence.
You mentioned about the descent of supramental light, on 29 February 1956. But when Sri Aurobindo left his body, the light which came out from his body was also itself.
It was, but what happens? It was a precursor to the descent of supramental light on into the earth. First, he received it in his own body. But earth as a general principle received it on February 29, 1956. But he received it in his own body on when he attained the Mahasamadhi, that light descended into his body. In order to receive the light only, he left his body, because as a first step, in order that the entire earth should receive afterwards, he first received the light into his body. Because of that, his body was not undergoing decomposition for 111 hours, which was a miracle in the medical history in those days. In those, no ice packs. Mother said no ice packs. Nothing should be kept. No artificial preservation of body. The body was left as it is, and the French doctors came and certified that the body did not undergo this decomposition. So only after 111 hours, the body was showing signs of decomposition. Only then the mother had permitted to enter the body in the what do you call this vault, crypt, samadhi.
Wonderful questions. I've also got lots of questions, but I'll stick to just two maybe. We've talked about missing links. Have Mother or Sri Aurobindo said anything about missing links between where we are now and the supramentalized daily? Will there be missing links?
Yeah, they have stated. They say first, it's not that entire humanity will be supramentalized at one go. Like we have human beings, we have monkeys parallelly. We will have supramental beings, we will have ordinary human beings parallelly, number one. In between supramental being and the ordinary man, Mother has stated that there will be a intermediary called overman, which people has somehow misunderstood. And the Georges van Rechem, you must have heard about him. That man from Finland or Danish. Georges van Rechem, Aurovillian. Holland, yes, Dutch. So he had written a book called Overman. He says mother has used a French word, SURHOM, Surom. The French word means intermediary. Mother has stated that there will be a intermediary being between the ordinary man and the superman. It's called Overman. He will be having most of the features of the supramental being, and he'll be an intermediary being between the man and the supramental man. And before that, Sri Aurobindo has given some sort of a some sort of a saving grace. Mother says that even if we don't become a supramental beings at one stroke, Sri Aurobindo has brought on what is called the mind of light into him, mind of light. The mind which is being the receptacle of the supramental light, which he had brought into his mind, and he has transformed that mind of light to the mother. The mind of light brought by Sri Aurobindo into him is as some sort of a compromise between the supramental being and the ordinary man. This mind of light we can reach even before without attaining that complete supermanhood. Even if you attain the status of the mind of light, it will have some semblance to the supermind, not the entire supermind. The mind of light, it's a superior form than our present mind. So these are all some intermediary gradations which they have indicated. But even then, the mother and Sri Aurobindo says that the nature, the evolution will decide. The process of evolution will decide how the Superman is going to be, and whether all these things, the process will decide itself.
And then there will be some missing links, perhaps going beyond. Like we don't have the links between the ape and the human.
Yeah.
So perhaps there will be, the nature will decide to drop some of the links, I guess.
Yeah, see, the missing links in terms of consciousness, there will not be any missing links. There will not be any missing links. There will be continuum in terms of consciousness. Of course, physical forms, there will be links. There will be missing links.
Okay, and the other question I had is the essence of this chapter. You said that every time there is an ascension, an ascent, there has to be some kind of integration so that everything from the lower is pulled upwards as well. Are we as humans aware of this integration, either within a lifetime or even in the space of 1,000 years that humans have existed? Are we aware of any instances where we can say, oh, that's integration?
I can tell you a simple example. If you bring yourself under the influence of the mother and Sri Aurobindo, more and more, if you try to be a seeker, and more and more, if you try to live inward, naturally, see, one thing we should all appreciate: before coming to the mother and Sri Aurobindo, we are reading their books, and we are meditating. We are doing so. Each one is doing some sort of sadhana, right? Nobody can deny that. The fact that we are meeting here and discussing Sri Aurobindo and mother itself is a sadhana. Each one of us, sadhana doesn't mean that we have to sit in a cave and meditate all round the clock. It's not that. Some sort of sadhana each one of us doing. Naturally, after coming to the mother and Sri Aurobindo, the mother's force is always working on us. Mother's force is, we are all chosen. We have not come to the mother and Sri Aurobindo just by accident. We are all chosen by the mother. We have been associated with the mother and Sri Aurobindo in our previous births. The mother's force has started acting on us. One difference we can find is that our body would become more and more conscious. For example, you will know by instinctively what is good for your health and what is not good for your health. And you will know instinctively what is good, which emotion is good for you, which emotion doesn't good for you. That means what? You're able to transform your otherwise ignorant body, otherwise ignorant emotion, even otherwise ignorant mind. Your mind will become more and more, you'll be able to understand more and more better. I mean, more and more, if you will be able to, if you, before coming to the mother and Sri Aurobindo, there are, supposing if you are able to read, if you are reading Life Divine, you will not be able to understand. If you are reading Savitri, you are reading Savitri, you will not be able to understand. But after coming to the mother and Sri Aurobindo, something has happened to your mind that you are able to understand even complex matter. That means what? Your mind has undergone a change. Your mind is otherwise in a lower level. Your emotions have undergone a change. Your body, which is a matter, which is undergone a change. Because your consciousness has risen, it has also factored in your mind, your body, your emotions. Which if you calmly observe yourself over the period of, say, a decade or a couple of decades, you will see that your mind has undergone a change, your emotions, your body. That means what? Your lower, your that should happen. That is a progress. Your lower part, your nature has been taken into account in your progress. Your nature means your body, life, and mind. They are not left to themselves. They are also being taken along. They are also taken along.
So that's an example of
That is an
integration.
example. Each one can look into, each one of us can look into ourselves and find out what has undergone a change, whether my body has undergone a change.
As part of this evolutionary process,
As
of
part,
what you're saying is, it's like that experience, yes, is there, and you've just taken it as a beautiful experience and continued. And at some point, the mind seems to come in and starts questioning those things. So is that the fallback you were talking about, just to pull you further back again? Because it's like what you're saying, I just feeling that I experience, okay, feeling that, okay, I understand. But if somebody asked me to explain it, I wouldn't be able to. But it's now, at some point, somewhere, my mind has also started asking questions. So is that something I have overridden the experience that I'm experiencing and got my mind involved in it? It doesn't feel like a downhill process, but at the same time, is it by default of being man that you ask to mentally and intellectually also understand?
yeah,
Definitely
mentally,
explaining
see, the
myself.
mind is always a doubter, right? Mind always doubts
It
your.
doesn't doubt, but it wants to know more. It's a quest.
Mind, as long as you try to know by your mind, you'll not be able to understand. You have to accept your experience. Mind is not a right kind of an instrument to understand these happenings, right? The mind cannot know all these things. But the only element in you which knows exactly what's happening in you is your psychic being, not your mind. Mind always questions whether it is true. I am undergoing these experiences. Are they true or not? Whether am I under the illusion? Whether am I fantasizing? Are they real or not? All these things your mind will doubt, but not your psychic being. That's why, as far as possible, you should keep your mind calm and silent. Not to think about it, not to get your mind involved in it.
But is that not part of the knowledge as well that you're trying to gain for yourself? No. I mean, I know it's not the true knowledge that one is aware of. But then if man has been given the mind, is
And
that also
not by
part of
your,
his
see,
consciousness
the
evolution?
as you see, the mother and Sri Aurobindo says, as you progress in this journey, thing, what is to be revealed to you, it will be automatically revealed to you. It will be revealed to you, not by your mental questionings. It will be revealed to you. Knowledge is something which is already there. Knowledge is not outside. We ignorant beings, we seek knowledge outside, but it is there inside. What is there inside will be revealed to you at appropriate time. But not by your mental questions will be able to find out. It's very difficult.
But it's like one is so stupid enough that you know it, even when you're asking the question, you know it, and you still persist in asking the question. I mean, it feels like a stupidity. But I mean, I observe that in myself. Like, even as I ask things, something gets revealed, but I pursue stubbornly in asking the question.
But that is a part of the mind. We are human beings. We are like that. It is also it's also a moment. It is a natural moment. That's all. We have to accept it. My mind questions that. Everyone's mind questions that.
I think it's a quirk of nature, or maybe a method of nature that mind has been created just to learn how to silence it, isn't it? That's
Yeah.
that's all we're doing.
I think also if you're working in a research laboratory, or if you're trying to do something like, within the ashram context, they discovered the atomic bomb formula and all that, and Mother just said, because that was not something to be broadcasted at the time. So in the ashram, they're not saying everyone has to sit with silent minds. No, there's all these educational programs.
I think
there.
that silent mind he's talking about is a different
Yeah.
silent
No,
mind.
but when you
It's
say
not,
that, yeah,
it's
no,
the
but I'm
silent
saying
mind
that
is
the
like
mind
you
is
can
there.
be talking but still
Yes.
feel the silence
But
inside.
the mind is always there, so if you're doing certain things, yes, but always we step back, don't we? But mind is always there. I mean, if you're supposed to do a certain work, and then Mother will give you the inspiration how to move forward. For instance, if you're doing IT work, and you're supposed to be finding a route out of something, then yes, the mind has to come into play. And Mother gives inspiration. Okay, do this, and maybe that will help the situation. So the mind is always there, but
We can't shut away the mind. Mind is also it's a part of the evolution. It is a special facility to given to man. But with that, you can go beyond. The mind can be made as a better instrument, not to silence the mind.
Actually, one last. When we're talking about animal extinction, is that also somewhere the divine's way of increasing the missing links which are not necessary? When quite often man is working very hard to not let certain animals get extinct or certain species in plant, and yes, man thinks they are damaging it, but is it actually just part of God's plan to add to all these missing links? The consciousness is growing, but on the physical level, is that also extinction of animals? Like, I mean, dinosaurs got extinct, but man is trying so hard to preserve and not make certain animals or plants extinct. What is that process all about?
That is simply each living being is trying to establish his presence against the background of matter and other things. Some living beings are able to sustain it because whatever outside is, it's always hostile to it, right? Hostile material environment, everything is hostile to it. Whichever animal is able to overcome it, they are able to sustain. Whichever is not able to overcome it, they perish. It is simply a physical phenomenon, that's all. There is nothing about it, but the consciousness will be there. Physical form, if it's not able to sustain itself against an alien environment, it will perish. If it's able to sustain itself, it will remain. It's simply a physical phenomenon.
So in that sense, it's not man who's doing it.
It may not be the man. Yeah. It's not that man.
Everyone exhausted?
And I'm very happy that it's very surprising for me that so many questions comes on this.
It's a very important chapter. I'm
If you
sure
had another half an hour, I think more questions would, it's like, just assimilate what you heard, you know.
That's where we talk about purification of the mind.
Thank you so much for this, and I think we should all go back and read that chapter again. It will probably make a bit more sense.
Yeah, next workshop, we should do that chapter.
So we'll end up with some music, if that's